Hello, students. I want to talk about bonds and how we calculate the price of a bond and what is a bond compared to what we discussed last week about stocks. And we talked about stock prices and how to, calculate the price of a stock. Today, we want to talk about bonds. And first, we want to know what are the bonds. Think about bonds or when we go and borrow money. Businesses need money, federal government needs money, and when they don't have enough money, they have to go and borrow, just like you borrow to buy a car, like, or federal government, state governments, businesses, Microsoft, Walmart, they all borrow money. And because why they borrow money? Because they don't want to bring more shareholders. If they want to bring more shareholders, they can sell stocks. Then the stockholders, they will be more owners when they sell stocks, because stocks are considered ownership. But bonds are just for a form of raising capital without giving away a part of the ownership. Therefore, think about here. I give you this as an example. And imagine that Donald Trump, for example, is in charge of the federal government, and he has a lot of expenses. He has to pay for soldiers, a lot of expenses. And he doesn't have enough money from the taxes that he collects from the people. And therefore, he has to borrow money from corporations, from China, or from you as an individual. In fact, the federal government sells bonds to individual investors. And this is an example of it. Donald Trump needs $1,000, and he knows that he can borrow it from you and return it to you in period of, let's say, 3 years. He comes and says, please give me $1,000, and I am going to give your money back after 3 years. And he promises you that he is going to give you a coupon rate. What is this coupon rate? It's just the interest rate that he says he is going to give you 5%. 5% of $1,000 is $50. That means in the first year, it gives you $50. In the second year, it gives you $50. In the third year, it gives you $50. And when it comes to the third year, he will give you your $1,000 back. Therefore, the question would be, if he wants your $1,000, then he's giving you an incentive. And the incentive is $50 next year, $50 a year after, and $50 in year 3, plus he has to pay your $3,000 back. This is the structure of a bond. And you could put your money in the bank and they put interest. The bank would give you interest, also your $1,000. And in the case of bank, for example, bank might tell you that, they are going to give you the same deal. That means they are going to give you 5%. Would you give your money to Donald Trump, or would you put it in the bank? There is a difference between that saving account that gives you 5% and with this bond. First of all, in the saving account that you put, there is not any contract in this form. Means the bank is not going to terminate. Here, your contract terminates after 3 years, and Donald Trump is going to write you a check on year 3 for $1,050 and say, here you go, take your money and get away. That's the way it is dealing, the bond deals. But in the case of saving bank, the bank doesn't tell you, after 3 years, here you go, this is your $50, and, you take your $1,000 away. Therefore, bond has a time attached to it. In this particular bond, it is, for example, for 3 years. I posted a note about treasury notes. Treasury notes usually is for 1 year. treasury bills, for example, treasury bills is for 1 year. Treasury notes is around 10 years, and treasury bonds have 30 years of maturity time. To here, this bond has 3 years till maturity if you want to give your money to Trump. Now, there is another component attached to it, and you say you understood the concept of 5%, and that is called coupon rate. And the reason we said it coupon, because many years ago, the coupons were attached to that contract the federal government gave you. You could cut the coupon and go to the bank in December and say, hey, give me my coupon payment, and the bank would give you $50. Therefore, that name of coupon remained for it, and now we don't have that concept of coupon, but because these are all electronics, and you get your coupon, 5%. Now, there is another component in that. And imagine that if the interest rate that the bank is giving you, is also 5%, which means that, again, bank is going to give you the same contract, $50, $50, and $50. And then after 3 years, you still have your $1,000 in the bank, and you don't even need to take that money out. However, the bank might come and change their interest and tell you they give you 4% or 8%. They can change it. But regarding this bond, your interest, your coupon payment doesn't change. It is guaranteed for the life of the bond. That means until it matures, which is 3 years. Now, if Donald Trump wants to borrow from you and wants to give you $1,000, if he wants to borrow $1,000, how can he encourage you to give your money to Donald Trump? But think about it that the bank is giving you 7% interest. If that is the case, which means bank is going to give you every year $70, and this bond is giving you $50. If you are a smart investor, you wouldn't give your money to Donald Trump, because your argument is that, hey, bank is giving me 7%. Why should I give my money, $1,000 to you, and get $50 instead of putting it in the bank and get 7%? Therefore, Donald Trump comes and puts that concept of 7% in this equation, because 7%, you see here 0.07, 1.07, that means that, it is, the bank is giving you, think about it, as 7%. That is, I call it yield to maturity. I give it just this example to let you know. And then he does the calculation. He says that, okay, during first year, this is how much return you are going to have. This is the second return you are going to have. This is the third return you are going to have. Then Donald Trump comes with another argument. After this calculation, Donald Trump comes and says, okay, since the bank is going to give you more interest, which is 7%, now you don't need to give me $1,000. You only give me how much? $947. That means Donald Trump is trying to compensate you for the less interest that he is giving you, because he is giving you 5% and the bank is giving you 7%. Therefore, the bank now tells you, bring $1,000 to us, but Donald Trump said to encourage you to give your money to Donald Trump. Donald Trump says that, come here and I sell this bond to you for $947. Therefore, if you are a smart investor, in this case, it doesn't matter. Either you put your money in the bank, which you get 5%, but you have to give your $1,000 to bank, or give $947 to Donald Trump. And then what happens is that although today you are going to give you $947, but guess what? Donald Trump is giving you this contract, which means after 3 years, instead of writing you a check for $947, it is giving you a check for how much? $1,000. In this case, we are telling that Donald Trump is selling a bond to you at what? At a discount. Because instead of selling it to you for $1,000, it is selling to you for at a discount for $947. Now, therefore, this yield to maturity is the interest. Do you see how these interest rates can push the prices of bonds up and down? Because the bank was going to give you 7%, that's why it pushed the prices of your bond down. Anytime the bank is going to increase its interest rate and say 8% or 9%, the prices that Donald Trump is going to offer you drops, because your argument is that bank is giving me 8%, give me a good deal, and Donald Trump drops the price for you, and that is how the bonds work. Now, we said this bond is selling at a discount. The question is, can this bond be sold at a premium? At what condition? Let's say Donald Trump comes and sells this bond more than $1,000 to you, for example. And we will talk about that. That is, in this case, we know that the bank was going to give everybody 7%. Now, what will happen if the bank is going to give you, instead of giving more than 5%, if the bank gives less than 5%, which means if the bank gives 3%, let me see if ChatGPT calculated. Yeah, this is how it is. But when it is at 3%, it is, when it is at 3%, then the equation would look different. And here is, here is when, let me give you this example, then we go to that one, which is the case of selling at premium. Here, Donald Trump is telling you, give me $1,000. He is promising you 7% coupon rate. 7% means $70. Do you see that? And here, $70, and after 3 years, it gives you a coupon payment of $70, plus he gives you your $1,000 back. At that time, bank also gives you 7%. Do you see that? Therefore, here is 1.07%, and this is then the price of this bond, when you do a calculation, it is exactly $1,000. Unlike the previous time that it became 947, now it is at 1,000. Means Donald Trump they call this as at par value. He is selling it to you neither at a discount nor at a premium. He's selling you exactly what, the market, which is $1,000. For you in this case, doesn't matter whether you put your $1,000 in the bank or give it to Donald Trump. Both of them are going to give you 7%. And the reason this is called yield to maturity, 7%, is called yield to maturity. Means it matures your money to here, yield to maturity. We said this is, in this case, is 7%. It matures your money after 3 years to make it to 1,000. In maturity, you get $1,000 back from Trump. Therefore, here, yield to maturity is 7%. This is selling at par or face value. Therefore, in this case, Donald Trump is smart, offers you only his bond for $1,000. But if it is, how about if it is going to sell it at a premium? Now let's look at here. Donald Trump needs $1,000, and he is giving you 9% interest. Look at here. First year you get 9%, $90. Second year you get $90. And third year you get $90, plus you get $1,000 on top of that. Now, how much Donald Trump is going to sell his bond that originally was planning to sell you for $1,000? If the people put their money in the bank, they are not going to give 9%. They are going to get only how much? They are going to get only 7%. Do you see that? Which means the banks are giving the investors, the people who put their money in saving account, they are giving you less than Donald Trump is giving. Therefore, Trump would come and say that now, because he is giving you more interest, therefore he is going to increase the price of his bond, and he is going to sell it at a premium of $1,052, which means in the first year, the amount of money that you are going to get is this much. This $90 would be after 1 year, because you are getting it 1 year down the road. Therefore, the value of $90 of today is less than, 1 year from now. That's only $84. Then the $90 that he is giving you as a coupon payment 2 years from now, in today's money, in present value, is $78. And the amount that he is giving you in year 3, $90 and $1,000, in today's price, in today's money, is $889. You add all of these, that means you are, getting the present value of all these calculations and bring it to today's money. And you tell, Donald Trump tells you that he is going to sell his bond to you for $1,052. Because if you put your money, $1,000, in the bank, this is what you need to get a good deal from the bank for your $1,000. Therefore, this is the way that the bonds are going to be calculated. And anytime the interest, one of the students, I think Charles, posted that if the interest rates change, then the prices of bond, change. Why the prices of bond change is because this number, which is, do you see here 1.07? This means that the interest rates are 7%. If this goes up, then the prices of the bond will drop, because will be a less number. Instead of being $84, it will be $80. Do you see that? Then this one drops also. Anytime the denominator goes up, the whole number drops down. The price of the bond, drops also. However, if the interest rates drop, here we said the interest rate is at 7%. If it drops, become 2%, then this number here will be a bigger number, which means it will be, instead of 84, might be 88. Then the price of the bond will increase, because why the price increase? Because everybody who has money in the bank is only going to get 3% on his or her money. Therefore, the people come to you because you are holding a very good deal, or they go to Trump that has a very good deal for them, and they beg him to sell, his, bond to them. And that bond is, Donald Trump will increase because there is a demand for his bond. This time his bond is giving a lot of a good interest compared to the bank that is going to give only 3%, and then the prices of bond, increase. And that means in this case, we say that we are selling this bond at a premium. Now, this is the bond pricing. This is the actual calculation for a bond that matures in 3 years. As we said, we have bonds that mature in 30 years. Instead of having 3 components here, 1, 2, 3, for a bond which is 30 years, we will have 30 of these. And each one of this, which you see here, is the present. This is the present value of what bond is giving you, the coupon payment of $50 in today's money. In today's money, is this much. A year from now, it gives you $50. In today's money, it is $46. 2 years down the road, it is giving you this much. And in today's, it is giving you, $50. But in today's money, it is this. And this is what is going to give you in 3 years from now. And in today's money, the value of it, when we add them together, is this much. Which means what this bond is going to give you in the future, the value of it in today's money is $947. Therefore, you are not going to give Donald Trump $1,000. You are going to give him, because what he is giving you, the deal that he is giving you, the value of it is 947. In the stocks also, if you remember, we did have some talks about dividends. Do you remember I told you you divide the dividend by the interest rates, and then you did all these dividends, but for stocks, it didn't have maturity. It didn't have the end after 3 years in here. It was permanent, because when you buy stocks, those stocks are sold permanently. But the bonds mature after 10 years, after 1 year, or after, 30 years, for example. Therefore, you understood for now, the concept of bond, and there are some calculations in the bond, and this mathematical formula makes it a little bit difficult to do that. The book has made it easy for you and has created a table for you to see the value of the price of the bond. There is a table at the end of the chapter, but if you click on the links it provided in problems, it gives you, how to calculate the price of the bond. Suppose you could calculate this one by looking at the table without using the calculator. And also calculators can do that. I'll try to see if I can use but for now, I want you to understand why TM means yield to maturity. The interest rate that makes your bond to mature. To make it mature means to bring it to $1,000 after 3 years. Do you see that? Therefore, let's not forget that after 3 years, definitely Donald Trump is supposed to give you this $1,000. And guess what? They say something about the bonds that when they get closer to maturity, the price of the bond gets closer and closer to $1,000. It adjusts itself in such a way that one day before it matures to, mature, the price of the bond would be $999 and maybe 99 cents, just a day before, matures, 3 years, which is 3 years down the road. But 1 year before, or 2 years before, it fluctuates up and down based on what the interest rates are. Therefore, as we said, the benefit of the bonds is that the coupon rate stays the same during the life of the bond. As you see, the $1,000 that you get after 3 years or after 30 years, that stays the same. What changes is that this denominator, which is a function of what happens in the interest rates. How these interest rates change depends on many factors. Federal Reserve might decide to change the interest rates, or the credit card companies, sometimes they increase their interest rates for different reasons, for value. When they change, then the market interest rates change. And then when the denominator changes, then the price of the bond will change. Therefore, the price of the bond doesn't change because this changes. The $50 stays the same during the life of the bond. The $1,000 that you are going to get when the bond matures stays the same. What changes during the life of the bond is this interest rate in the denominator, which is 1.07. In this case, is 7%. It can be 6%. If it becomes 6%, then this price will go up because the bank is saying that rather than 7%, it gives 6%. As soon as it says that, Donald Trump would tell you, you are not getting any money from your bank. You have to come to me and buy this valuable bond from me. Therefore, he will increase the price. He will jack up the price of the bond. Do you see that? Therefore, this is a concept. Of course, it is not just about Donald Trump. Therefore, as you know, companies sell the bonds the same way. They give you a coupon rate. They give you the par value at the end. That means whatever they promised at the beginning, which is usually 1,000, or if they promise 10,000, they give you the coupon payment, and the price of the bond goes up and down. There is another difference between a price of the bond and what you put in the bank. Your money in the bank does not, you don't sell, you can't sell your money in your saving account in the bank. You can, withdraw your money, or, you can do, but you don't go to someone else and say, hey, come and buy my saving account from me. You never do that. But issue of the bond is that you can sell that. Let's say if you have it for 1 year, which means you already got this $50 during 1 year, that means you are now in here. During this time, if your bond has gone up, you have the option of selling it, more than what you bought. Why your bond price of the bond went up? Because these interest rates dropped down. Someone who has money in the bank and is desperate, the bank doesn't give him or her $50 of, coupon. He or she will come to you and beg you to sell your bond because your bond matures in 2 years. And for that reason, you jack up the price, the market decides, and you sell your bond in a more premium. You want more premium for your bond. Therefore, when it comes, the closer, as we said, to the maturity, just 1 day before the bond matures, the price of the bond, if you decide to sell it, as I said, because the next day it matures. That means that all this money, everything has been taken, has been calculated, because tomorrow is going to mature. And tomorrow Donald Trump is going to give you your $1,000 back. If someone wants to buy it from you, you know that in 1 day is not going to, a lot of things happen, and there is not that much, those many of these coupon payments, left. Therefore, when you have to sell it at that time, the price of your bond would be very close to $1,000. For now, I want you to have this lecture in mind and compare to what we did in calculating the price of the stocks. But the prices of the bonds are much more accurate than the price of the stocks, because we calculated the prices of the stocks based on dividends. But we said many companies don't give any dividends. Therefore, that makes it difficult to calculate the price of the stocks. We said that many companies pay portion of their money, they pay dividends. Therefore, again, that makes the prices of the stocks a kind of inaccurate way of formulas were kind of inaccurate. But the price of the bonds are very accurate, much more accurate. Why they are much more accurate? Because if we know exactly about this $50, it is clear for us for the next 30 years, we are going to get this much, we are going to be knowing that, 30 years from now, we are going to get. Therefore, these three are already known to us. How about this one? This one also, at the moment, is known to us. 1.07 is known to us. Why? Because we know about the interest rates, in today's market. Why do we know about it? It's because you know it from when you go to buy a house. You go to the bank, say I want to buy a house. The bank tells you your interests are 7%. You go to another bank also tells you maybe 7.1. Another bank. Do you see these numbers are very close? Therefore, the prices of bonds are more accurate and more reflective of what the price of the bond should be. Or, therefore, who likes to invest in the bond and who likes to invest in stocks? Stocks are riskier than bonds because there are more unknowns, but they have the potential to go higher, Bonds, many retired people like bonds. Why? Because it gives them coupon payment. And also, if their prices of their bonds drop for some reason, they don't rush into selling them. You know why? Imagine they bought it at the beginning for $1,000, and let me find the one which was for 1,000. This one was for 1,000. Look at here. An elderly, let's say a retired person, bought it for $1,000. Why did he buy it or she buy it? Because of this $70 coupon payment that they were going to get. And what happens is that this elderly, suddenly the next day, the interest rates suddenly go up significantly. If they go up significantly, this elderly, the price of his or her bond drops significantly. From $1,000 drops to $800. Do you see that? Therefore, that means after 1 year, it drops to $800. But this elderly is not scared of anything. You know why? Because he or she is going to hold to his or her stock for her bond for how many years? 2 more years. But he is guaranteed next year how much? $70. And in third year, how much is he going to get back for the money? 1,000. Do you see when it dropped to 800 here, he or she was smart. He said, why should I sell it for 800? I am going to keep it because a year from now, I'm going to get the face value or par value of the stocks of the bond, which is $1,000, gets the $1,000, and therefore it is pretty safe. Sometimes short-term bonds fluctuate less than long-term bonds. Why? Because they are subject to less fluctuations on interest rates, and also when they come closer to maturity, they become less risky because they don't go up and down, because the people are know exactly, let's say on the final year, they know that they are going to get $1,000, in 1 year. Therefore, they are not worried. Therefore, I wanted you to have these ideas about the bonds. And if you have any questions, you let me know.